Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
I'm really happy you came, and my first thing I want to give to you, first time ever on swim lessons, a gift for the guest, and it's John Hanisch collectible, limited edition, 50,000, but it's a Denver Broncos when they won the Super Bowl in 1999 football.
Oh, sweet!
And
nice.
I know you're a big Broncos guy. I'm a big Chiefs guy, but
awesome.
Yeah, they were 17-2 that year. It says.
Yeah. This would have been the year they beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl, the second. Yeah, they were loaded that year. They probably should have went undefeated, but thank you. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, it kind of makes my skin crawl in here with all this damn Chiefs stuff. I don't know, but this is great. Yeah, John Hanisch, and what a guy. He had so much stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get some John Hanisch stories in sometime.
I know. What's your favorite? Because you grew up a Broncos fan, right?
I did.
So how did that come to fruition? Because you grew up in Montana.
I did. I grew up in eastern Montana, and it seemed like I remember on the playground at Weeble Elementary School, like everybody had their team, and everybody was like either a Cowboys fan or a Redskins fan.
Yeah. And
those were the teams that were good all the time, and they were on TV all the time. So I'm like, God damn, I want to be a Cowboys fan or a Redskins fan.
Yeah.
And our AFC team was the Broncos because that's our regional team. So they always seemed to be on TV every Sunday. So I just kind of became a Broncos fan just because they were always on TV. And of course I'm always watching football. So I just kind of by default, but it was our local team in Montana. So I watched them all the time.
What would be, because I know you're a card collecting guy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so am I. So I love trading our Snapchats with you, but what would you say is your not most favorite, but what's the most legit card you have right now in your stock?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Do you have an LA rookie?
I do not. I didn't really get into it until like the late 80s.
Okay.
So like 88, 89, 90, 91, I have so many of those cards. It's just ridiculous. But I got a ton of rookie. I got like Barry Sanders rookie cards.
Ooh.
Derek Thomas, Deion Sanders. They were all in the same draft class. Troy Aikman was in that class too. I think that was 89. I got a lot of those. So that's when I really started getting into it. So I'd say those are probably the most valuable ones I have. I don't even know.
Jeez, I didn't know that draft class was that loaded.
Yeah, and like I want to say Tony Mandrich went in that draft.
Really?
Yeah, he went ahead of. I think it went Aikman, Mandrich, and then down the line it was like Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, and Derek Thomas were all in that.
Wow,
that's a loaded draft.
Yeah. So. Is Elway your favorite Bronco? Would you say?
Gosh, that's tough. I really did like Elway, and he was a quarterback all through when I was growing up, all the way through, when I was in college. So he played for a long time. I maybe like Steve Atwater. He was one of my favorite guys.
God, I knew that was coming.
And I've ever sent you the clip where Steve Atwater destroyed Christian McCoy. Have I ever done that?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like Steve Atwater, and I ended up, in high school, my junior and senior year, I wore number 27 because I liked Steve Atwater, and then some weird stroke of luck, the guy that was assigning equipment when I got to Dickinson said, "What position you play?" I said, "Well, defensive back." He said, "How about 27?" I said, "Yeah, sure."
That's awesome.
Sign me up. So I wore that my 4 years at Dickinson too. So I always wore 27, and I don't know. I think Steve Atwater, I really like Manning when he was there. I liked Manning before, when he was with the Colts. He's just
he's a man.
He's a guy he's hard not to like.
Yeah. No, he really is.
Yeah.
I had to laugh because before today, I was kind of prep for the podcast. I was looking at Broncos and Chief players, and I stumbled across this Instagram post from a older school Broncos player. I can't remember who it was. It was someone who played with Shannon Sharp.
Okay.
But they asked him, who's the most trash talking teammate you ever had? And the guy goes, without a doubt in mind, Shannon Sharp. He goes, we're playing in Kansas City Sunday night. Shannon Sharp's lined up across Derek Thomas, and Derek Thomas is talking trash, and Shannon Sharp goes, stop. I got your girlfriend's number, and he starts saying the number, and Derek Thomas got thrown out of the game because he went after him.
Oh my God, that's next level stuff there.
That's next level trash.
Shannon Sharp. There's no surprise that he's on sports talk now, talking all the time. Yeah, he was a talker, man. But he could back it up. He was a really good tight end. He one of those guys. I don't even know if he was drafted, and he kind of was an oversized wide receiver that, Mike Shanahan was going to put some pounds on and make him into an athletic tight end, and it worked out great. Yeah, he's a good, really good tight end from the old days.
He's the man. Well, I want you to take us back because I've known you for most of my whole life, and I want you to tell. A lot of friends of mine, a lot of people listening to this podcast have known you for their whole life, but take us back to when Nate Nelson was on the ranch in Montana, before he was the head football coach at Divide County, before he was a star at Dickinson State. Where do we find Nate Nelson in his early ages?
I like how you said I was a star at Dickinson State. I don't really know about that, but I'll get to that later on. But yeah, so I grew up on a cattle ranch in eastern Montana, far eastern part of the state on right on Highway 7, halfway between Webo, Montana and Baker, Montana. And we raised Simmental and Angus cattle. My dad is a purebred breeder, so we did the whole bull sale thing and stuff like that. And it's just how I grew up, and you all summer you were cutting hay or hauling hay or doing something like that. And all winter you were feeding cows. It was just it's kind of year round. When you have livestock and that, you got that background with the horses and stuff, and you're there's no days off. No. I mean, whether it's Christmas Day or if there's 18 feet of snow or 110 degrees, there's always something to do. So we were always busy, but yeah, learned a lot about, just work ethic. And like I said, there were no days off then. So you're always busy doing something. And I kind of got instilled in me, I think, a little bit that, blue collar upbringing where you're always working. I think that really helped me out later on in athletics, where you have that same work ethic, growing up on a farm or a ranch, and lots of, a lot of times small towns like Crosby or Webo, they thrive on those kids that grew up on a ranch or farm because they are blue collar. They have a good work ethic, and they're going to be the ones in sports that are going to come in and just work their tail off. But yeah, we did all that stuff, and we had cattle and horses, and every spring it seemed like I spent days of my life on horseback. I mean, just sorting out pairs and chasing them off to this pasture. Then we come back the next day and we sort off. Dad, how many cows we got to take off? We got to take about 50 off. I'm like, oh my, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I'm surprised I'm not a little more bow-legged all the time we spent on that. But then by the end of the summer, I would be in the tractor cutting hay, and if I could get 660 Keys Country to come in, I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe once in a while your air conditioning would work, or maybe your AC wouldn't work at the same time as your radio. You couldn't have them both going. So if there was a commercial or a bad song, you'd turn the radio off and crank the AC for 2 or 3 minutes to cool down, and then go back. But yeah, that's it. That's kind of the upbringing I had there, and a lot to my parents. Teaching me about work ethic and accountability and things like that. And those, I think, with sports and even in education, those are maybe the most important things a teacher or coach can teach a kid, is to have a good work ethic, to be accountable. There's so many people get a hold of me when they're looking to hire somebody, and they say, hey, you taught this kid or you coach this kid. What are they like? Are they going to come? Are they going to work hard? And I'm like, sometimes you gotta say, this is a good kid, or sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know. This, could be it's 50-50 whether or not they're going to get there on Monday at 7 a.m. for work. So that's a tough part of it, but you got to be honest with people. But yeah, I do get a lot of that, but I think that's important, and I'm thankful for my upbringing there in Webo and the stuff I learned on the ranch. And the ranch life wasn't cut out for me. I remember one day, I think it was Christmas Day, and it's colder than hell. I mean, it's one of those days where it's like 20 below and the wind's blowing and stuff. And I'm out there trying to thaw out a water for the cattle, and I'm like, geez, this sucks. Yeah. And that's kind of when I knew I don't want to be a rancher my whole life, because I don't want to be out there when it's 20 below and I'm trying to thaw out a dang water to get the cows water. But it's definitely part of my life growing up on a ranch that had an impact on me.
Well, I'm glad you picked to become a teacher so you could come up here.
Yeah, well, I think I got to the time, I love playing sports when I was a kid, but I think I finally realized, man, I'm not going to be able to play forever.
Right.
So if I want to be as involved in the game, as involved in sports, I got to be a coach, because that's the next best thing to being a player. You're still involved now. And like I said, we tell the kids nowadays, I say, well, you guys got 4 seasons to play high school football. I said, I get a new year. I'm going on year 23 now.
Have you been at it that long?
This will be the start of 23.
No kidding.
Yeah. So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know it was that.
Yeah. It's been a long time. It's gone by in a flash.
That is crazy.
Start my 23rd season here next week. So
wow.
Yeah. But like I said, we get a new year all the time, and kids only get 4 unless you're going to go into coaching. I mean, that's it. It's a small window, and it goes by fast, as you know.
Yeah. Well, there's something to that blue collar mindset. I mean, I think one thing that I picked up, especially in sports, was to have a blue collar, but also have that white collar, so you can kind of be versatile on no matter which kind of job you're going to or who you're talking to, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's good to have that blue collar attitude where it's like, I got to work hard, but also have that white collar and kind of learn how to talk to people, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big thing too. With you go out and you meet people, and probably some of my best times at Dickinson would be just the people that I met there and the friends you made. And I mean, we were really worried about you when we sent you to Dickinson, Dallas, because we didn't know if you're going to make any friends. So yeah, and I don't know, now luckily you were able to overcome your shyness and come out of your shell and make some friends. And you've probably officiated 10 weddings and been in 30 other weddings from your friends at Dickinson, right?
I know. Nine weddings, but I retired after my 9th.
That's a good call.
That's a legit stat. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about your times at Weebo High School, because of all the success you guys had. And especially, that's kind of why I was talking about Elway earlier, because you played quarterback in high school, right?
I did play a little bit of quarterback, not right away. And there's a few stories about that, but Weebo is definitely a football town. And
where's Weebo at? Just so everybody knows that's listening.
Weebo is the easternmost town on Interstate 94. It's right along the border with North Dakota. So, like, I don't know, it'd probably be considered southeast Montana.
Okay.
But it's right on Interstate 94, last town going out of Montana, and the first town coming in when you're coming in from North Dakota there. So it's a small town. I mean, I graduated with, I think, 21 or 22 kids in my graduating class. So
it's small.
Small town, yeah. Much smaller than Divide County High School is now. There were like 80 kids in 75, 80 kids in high school when I was in school. And, 22 guys on the football team. So
really?
So we're 8-man football. And that's just what we grew up. Everything was 8-man football. And that's what we thought football was. And of course, the football on TV was different, but our brand was 8-man football. And, that's the game of kings, man. I still love 8-man football. If I can find something on YouTube or something like that, I love watching it, because it's so much different than 9-man, because the 9-man field is so big. Mm-hmm. The 8-man field is really condensed. It's 40 yards wide and 80 yards long, goal line to goal line. So it's really a physical game.
Yeah.
Where a 9-man, those dang offensive coaches are getting smart. They're figuring out to get their guys in the ball in space, and kind of transitioning more to the spread, the passing, and maybe even more of the spread game for the running game too. But Weebo always had a really good football tradition. My brother, who is 4 years older than I was, he was a good football player. When he was a senior, Weebo was really good. And this would have been 1989. And I'm like, man, this is a really good team here. And just loaded. And they had most of the guys that were starting, or most of the guys that were playing, were seniors, and they'd been playing for a few years. And and I was like, well, this is the team that's going to win the state championship. I'm like, oh, this is great. And they, defeated Terry, which was a big rival for a long, forever. And they get the 1 seed in the playoffs. Scobie comes down first round playoffs and beats us. And I'm like, oh man, it was just a gut punch.
And you were a freshman?
No, I was an 8th grader.
Oh, you're an 8th grader. Okay.
That's when my brother was playing, and I was just devastated. So the next year, the coach that was the coach of my brother, Mr. Bushman, Rob Bushman, he retires. So we get a new coach, and I'm a freshman. John Thompson, he'd been an assistant for 1 year. You know, he was our science teacher.
Okay.
So he takes over, and you know, the cupboard was kind of bare. Looking at, we didn't know it at the time. You know, we think, oh shit, we're good. You know, And, we were bad. I mean, we were 2-5 that year, and it, you know, you go from the year before they're like 8-1, won the conference, and then we go 2-5. Oh crap! And then I think halfway through the season, the coaches realized that, you know, we're very tough mentally or physically, and they decided they were going to toughen us up, and practice kind of transitioned to where it was a lot of stuff just designed to toughen us
Oklahoma
up.
drill.
Oh man, we
Really?
hated it. Yeah, we hated it, and it was miserable. They worked us hard, but you know, you look at it in the long run, I think it really did pay off. And then the coaches will swear by you. I'm like, man, we hated that year.
Yeah.
It was bad. So I my freshman year, I was a backup quarterback, and I'm not playing, and I'm not good enough to play at that time. I'm a scrawny little runt, you know. The starting quarterback breaks his collarbone, and then I'm like, here we go.
Warm it up, Nelson.
Yeah, get the gun warmed up, and I came in and mop up duty in a game, and it was atrocious. I mean, and then the next week in practice, the writing is kind of on the wall that we're not a playoff team. We're just we're going to try to get better at the end of the season and get ready for next year.
Yep.
They move another kid in to play quarterback, and I'm like, I'm the backup quarterback, and they brought in, and at the time I wasn't smart enough to realize that they were doing it to save me, you know, and they're like, oh, it's fine, you know, and I wasn't ready to play varsity ball at that time. So at the time I was like, man, what the heck? But like I said, it was the best thing for me. And in the long run, everything came full circle. But yeah, so I remember I had a moment my freshman year where I was like, man, it sucks. We're getting our ass kicked. And I just want to play. I hated standing on the side. I want to play. I'm going to do whatever I can to play next year. And I kind of was just like, and then I just kind of told myself, you got to work your ass off and get better and be tougher and be faster and do all this stuff. And then maybe I'll be playing the next year. I didn't really know what was going to happen the next season, but I worked really hard, you know, and I'm one of those guys, I don't know, probably the guy that everybody hates at practice because I was just balls out all the time, you know, just like my hair's on fire, like it's a game. And so we finish up the season. We're not very good. We come in the next year. I'm like, I'm going to be a sophomore, and I'd already kind of made my mind up that, hey, I want to play. I don't care if I'm at guard, if I'm at safety, if they need me to play center, I'll play wherever they put me. I just want to be on the field.
Yep.
And it's kind of, you know, it is that first day of practice where the coach is kind of getting guys lined up, and he's picking out guys and putting them over there to start running some stuff, you know. And the defensive coach, Corey Schaefer, he sends me over to play outside linebacker, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, here we go.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, you got a chance now. Don't screw this up. And then I just was like, that made me want to go that much harder in practice all the time, because I'm like, okay, I got a spot here. I'm not going to lose it. So from that first practice as a sophomore, that's basically the position I played in defense for the next 3 years, my sophomore, junior, senior.
Oh, you were a linebacker?
I played it's kind of an outside linebacker, but you still do a lot of coverage. It's kind of maybe, I guess in our scheme, it'd probably be like a strong safety, what that would equate to, you know. But yeah, I was outside linebacker, and then I got to play tight end.
Ooh, nice.
So I think the first game, I don't even know. I gotta talk to my coaches sometime and find out what the heck's going on. But the first game we're playing at Nashua, Montana, and I'd played some tight end here and there, and all of a sudden it's like they didn't know how they're going to run the plays, and all of a sudden the other kid had started at left tight end, and they just grabbed me and said, "Here's the play," and I'm like, "Oh shit!" So then I was playing every other play on offense, which I'm like, "Okay, this is good. This is good."
Yeah,
I'm on the field 50% of the time on offense and 100% on defense. So I'm like, I just got to keep going. So I was in a rotation there, played tight end in a rotation my sophomore and junior year, and played outside linebacker all three, my sophomore, junior, senior years. So that sophomore year, we lost our third game of the year. We were like 2-1, and I didn't play we lost to Medicine Lake on the road, and I had a bad game. I had a blown coverage late in the game, and we lost a close one. I was pissed, and I was down, and And they're like, it's a non-conference game, not a big deal. Come back, we got to get better. And then I kind of just refocus and start working. And I knew I had to get tougher. I had to play smarter. And then things started clicking after that. We went on a run and we thrashed some teams pretty badly. Terry, who had smoked us the year before, and they were always a really good team. They'd won some state championships in recent history, and that's where Coach Stanton was from, and he was coaching the Terriers at that time.
No way.
Yeah.
You played against Coach Stanton?
Absolutely, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What was he yelling? And, come on, you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Was he?
He's all over. Yeah. Yeah. He's such a good guy, though.
Oh, he's the best. Shout out Pete Stan. I love him.
And he did some things at Terry where he had some talented guys too. And there's more of that story. But yeah, he was a coach there at Terry for pretty much my whole career. And the only time they beat us was when I was a freshman, when Coach Stanton was coach of the Terriers. So I don't ever bring that up when I'm around him. I don't want to get him mad or anything like that. But yeah, we get to the playoffs that year. We won our conference. We got a home playoff game against Scobie.
Okay.
Sophomore year. And it's 30 below.
Really?
30 below with the wind chill. And they're talking about, what are we going to do? We're going to play this game, or we're going to have the game, And I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going to happen here. They can't cancel the game. We made the damn playoffs. We're going to play it. And I know in North Dakota, that's when they kind of moved to playing like the semifinals in the Dome and putting the championship games in the Fargo Dome or out in Grand Forks because the weather was so bad. And we ended up playing Scobie as 30 below, and we beat them. I think it was by a couple touchdowns. We played, it was definitely difficult. They had hay bales set up in like a horseshoe shape, and there were heaters in there. And
no way.
One kid melted his shoe because he put it too close to the heater. And then between quarters, they would send us onto the bus, and they'd have the school buses there with the heat cranked, and that was the worst thing ever because you get on the bus and it's so hot and you start sweating.
Yeah.
And then you got to hop out and start playing again, and you got these ice beads on your face from where you're sweating. But yeah, it was like you wear 2 gloves, you wearing 2 pair of long johns, you got 4 pair of sock on or whatever. But yeah, we win that game, and we got to go on the road for the quarterfinal. We're going up to Sunburst, Montana, which it's north of Great Falls, way up there.
Long bus ride.
Yeah. Oof, Dameda. And they were the number 2 ranked team in the state at the time. And I think we're maybe in the rankings about 7 or something like that. We had the 1 loss to Medicine Lake, but we had strung together some good wins. And we go up there and we get 2 defensive touchdowns in the second half. We end up beating them.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think it was 42-30. We beat them, and they were a pretty good football team. And we're thinking we're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
We're like, we just beat the number 2 team in the state. The number 1 team in the state who was on our side of the bracket got beat in the first round.
Yep.
We're going home to play a semifinal game at home. We're thinking we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And the team we're playing is Bridger Belfry, or they were Clark Fork Thunder.
Okay. And
south of Billings, in that Red Lodge area. And they had some monsters. And they had some big old linemen, kind of like Zach Jovic type linemen, that little, 5'11", 250 pounds. They had 2 of those guys, Hergenreiter brothers. Their fullback.
The Hergenreiter brothers. That's awesome.
Yeah. They were tough hombres.
Yeah.
And they had a fullback that was 200 pounds, and they had a good tailback, and they were just a good unit. They struggled early in the year, then they started clicking and putting it together. And the first play of the game, they run fullback dive.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, guy goes like 60 yards for a touchdown.
That's a killer.
I don't know if anybody on our team touched him. And we're like, ooh.
Yeah.
This is bad. They're not doing anything crazy. They're running fullback dive.
Yeah.
And just housing it. So we somehow found a way. And I don't know. For many years, I didn't like watching the tape of that game because I didn't know if we were going to win because things just clicked and we hung in there and we, got back to where it was kind of a back and forth game. We ended up winning that game really close. We're like, holy crap. A year ago, we were 2-5. We were terrible.
Wow.
Now we're in the state championship game, and I'm a sophomore. We're playing at home.
It's in Weebo?
It's in Weebo, yeah. Home and away.
No kidding.
State championship. So,
oh my.
Yeah. So it's crazy. We were playing the Denton Trojans, and that's a little town kind of near Lewistown, kind of right in the center of the state. And they were a 6-man team the year before, and I think they maybe won the state championship at 6-man. And then they got so big they came up to 8-man. We're playing them for the state championship at home, and we're thinking, man, we're ready to go. And everybody was just jacked up. This had been the first time we would play in a state championship game since 1982, and I was like 6 years old at the time, and we had lost that game. First time we'd made a deep run since then.
Yeah.
The first 3 drives we had when we were in defense, I think I blocked a punt. Guy recovered for a touchdown. The next drive, our punt returner returned a punt for a touchdown. The third drive, the punter fumbled the snap, and I dove on it for a touchdown. We're up 22-0. We hadn't run an offensive play yet.
Special teams?
Yeah. It was crazy. And then we're like, I don't even know if we're 5 minutes into the game. And it was like bang, bang. They went 3 and out, 1, 2, 3 drives in a row, and we got up on them. And there's so many side stories here. We could go down the rabbit hole here. I know we only got a little bit of time, and we haven't gotten very far.
That's all right. It's all good.
But our starting quarterback, one of my friends, Cam Zinda, gets ejected from the game.
What did he do?
The ref say he threw a punch at a kid.
Oh,
and I don't know. I think
was the ref from Denton?
I don't know, man. I think that reffing crew is out of Sydney, and we used to get Glendive guys. And no, I don't know, but you can kind of see it on tape, and it's super sketchy. It's like the guy was holding on to his jersey, and he was kind of fighting to get away. And I don't think he didn't throw a punch, but
whoa.
So now I'm the backup quarterback, where 14 months prior, they're not putting me on the field as a backup quarterback. Now I'm in the state championship game, and I got to finish this off. And
You're a QB1.
Yeah, I'm QB1 now.
Whoa.
So I was able to finish off that. It was like 2.5 quarters. It was midway through the second when I took over quarterback. And like I said, we were up. We're just running clock, man. We're just trying to chew clock and get this thing over with. We ended up winning, I believe, it was 34-14. And
so you were state champs.
State champions as a sophomore.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, we were terrible the year before, and we just had some really good guys that just kind of matured all at the same time. I think the class ahead of me was loaded. A couple guys in my class were good players. We won the state championship as a sophomore.
Did your older brother that graduated, that was kind of watching on the sidelines, what was he like? Was he like, wow, this could have been me?
I felt kind of bad, because I know how hard he had worked. He had spent so much time in the weight room working and getting stronger. And I kind of felt guilty. I'm like, shoot, I just showed up, and I was just happy to play. And all of a sudden we'd won the state championship. But yeah, he was great about it. He was
Give
happy.
You some pointers
congratulating and very, very positive and stuff. But like I said, I always felt a little bit guilty for, winning that or being a part of that, where I know 2 years prior when my brother was playing that, they didn't get a chance to be a part of that. And I was really, like I said, devastated when that team lost, because I thought, man, this is the team that's going to make a run. So,
well, do you think that had a little bit to do with your progression too as a player? Definitely seeing him lose, then having him kind of in your back pocket, if you will, and then him kind of telling you, hey, Nate, this is what you got to do. This is how you got to do it.
Yeah. The one thing my mom was really good about taking pictures during the games, and she would always take pictures and have all these little collages of us playing. And I would just go into my brother's room, and I'd look at that, and I'd see all the, I just love looking at those old pictures. And after my brother's junior year, he made like a little sign at a tag board that said Montana State Champions. And then he put a little asterisk on the bottom. Only one per year, kind of indicate that I got 1 year left. And that just made me feel worse, too. That
what a saying, though.
Yeah.
That's bad.
And so that was the goal there, to win the state championship. And he said, you got 1 year left. And they weren't able to get it done. So, yeah.
Wow. So what's he say to you after the game?
I don't know. It's
give you a hug. It's kind of tough to remember.
It's a blur. I mean, it was so crazy. I wish I could go back and go through all that stuff again, but it was just it was almost like a mob scene, It was crazy in Webo, man.
In Webo too.
In Webo, home and away championship game. That's the greatest thing ever. And,
I bet.
Yeah. So that was number one there when I was a sophomore. Yeah, that was a special one, because it's the first one in school history.
Oh wow.
And then Webo kind of becomes a football dynasty.
Yeah.
Up until the modern times. So,
wow. And then senior year, did you ever make it back?
Yeah, we did actually. When I was a junior, so that's 1992. We were loaded. I mean, we were, and like I said, you ever see those ESPN 30 for 30 like with the U in Miami?
Yeah.
That was kind of us. We were like the Montana 8-man version. We were so cocky. It's kind of embarrassing when I watch the tape because I'm like, oh my God, if I'm coaching and some of our kids did that, I'd be so pissed at them. But we were, the number one was up and we were, oh man, we were very cocky and we were good that year.
But you lost in the state championship?
No. Come on,
you
man.
ran it back?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we were going to play Terry, last regular season game, Coach Stanton's Terriers, wow. And they were good. They had some good guys too in their senior class. We played terrible. Terry played terrible. We ended up winning that game 22-6.
Wow.
And so like, oh God, we were kind of disappointed we didn't beat him by more because we were like the consensus number one ranked team the whole year through. And I remember we're going through the handshake line. We won. We're getting ready for playoffs. And the quarterback from Terry is a guy named Shane Eaton. He was a really good player, tough kid. He goes, hey, we'll see you guys in 4 weeks. And we're like, oh, these guys think they're going to be in the state championship? Yeah, right. And sure as hell, 4 weeks later, we played Terry again for the state championship game.
No way.
In Webo. Yeah.
In Webo again?
Webo, yeah, home again.
Oh, my.
So got to play 2 at home. And, long story short, like I said, we were a good team. There were some dogs in that class that had to be some really good athletes. And then there were some guys in my class that were good. And then we had some younger guys that really stepped up and played well. So we win our second state championship then, 1992. We beat Terry 52-30. And it was
in the championship
game. Yeah. A lot more high scoring than the regular season. But
you say anything to Shane after the game?
No, God.
Oh, come on. You should have said, here we go, buddy.
No, we didn't do it. We probably did, but it's just how we were. But like I said, they should do a 30 for 30 on that team because it was awesome. Crazy. But
so back to back going into
my senior year. Yeah, and like I said,
So are you starting to get like after your junior? Because that's a pretty good resume going up into your senior. Are you getting like some college teams calling at least, or
no? Nothing till my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was just I wasn't even thinking about that. But
right.
A lot of those guys ahead of me, there was Darren Miskey and Jeff Bertelson, who ended up coaching Webo for a long time.
Bertelson, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Did he have some kids that played for Dickinson or Rocky?
Yeah, his kids played for Rocky. Real good players. Yeah, Travis and Chase Bertelson.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah.
So there's those guys. Cam's into his air. Dale Pep. Those guys all went to Dickinson. So I was kind of like, it was always in the back of my mind. But
Montana boys.
Yeah, Montana guys going to Dickinson to play. So, but those 4 of those guys that were in the class ahead of me were all state players, both offensively and defensively. So we're kind of back to where we were. The cupboards are bare. Maybe not the cupboards are bare, but we got a lot of guys moving into different spots, and I'm going to play quarterback, and we got new guys here and there and everywhere. We got to rebuild the offensive line, all this stuff. We play Medicine Lake first game of the year. We lose at home. I'm like, so it's like a 19-game win streak done.
Snapped.
And I'm like, I'm so mad. I didn't play well. I mean, I was rattled. I was fumbling snaps. I was trying to do everything 100 miles an hour and just not settled in. We get things straightened out. We're not playing great. Not really blowing teams out, but we're getting wins, and we end up winning the rest of our games in the regular season. So okay. We're in good shape here. We're the 1 seed going into the playoffs. We're going to have some home playoff games. Play Medicine Lake again in the playoffs, the team that beat us, and we handled them pretty well. We won by about 20 points, and win the quarterfinal game. Semifinal game at home against the Denton Trojans, who we played when I was a sophomore, and they got some good guys. A lot of those guys that played in 91 were same age as me, and they were now seniors, and we beat them in a really tight game. It was kind of snowing and the field was wet. It wasn't really, wasn't cold or anything, but I ended up scoring on a quarterback sneak late in the game, and I think that's the one that took the lead, and I don't know if I got in. I mean, I went to push off it and my feet just flopped out of me, and for whatever reason the ref signaled I was in, and then the Denton folks, and I know some of the guys because some of those guys played at Dickinson too, and they're like, there's no way you were in. I'm like, hey, I don't know, man, but we ended up winning that. We got to go on the road for the state championship game. Now we're playing the Absaroka Huskies, who were the team that was kind of the dynasty before we became the dynasty.
Okay.
They had won 3 straight. They're the team that got upset in the first round of the playoffs my sophomore year.
Okay.
We're going to go on the road and play them. And it was like, it was so much pressure. I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders going into that game because I wanted to win so badly because in that whole season, I wanted to win so badly just to prove that we could do it without all those studs that were a year older than me. And I don't know, I probably put too much pressure on myself and that probably didn't help things, but it was just like, I know our coaches did so much scouting of that and of that. And like, we're going to break our tendencies. We're going to put guys in motion. We're going to go to different formations. They said, because the Absorki coach, Al Walker, who's kind of a legend in Montana high school football, they said he's so good at scouting, he'll pick up on any tendencies. So we did a lot of different things here. And I was super excited because they had put in a lot of stuff for me to run the ball. And that's kind of what I did as a quarterback in high school. I couldn't throw the ball real well, get by here and there, but it was mostly the running game. And I was pumped because there was a lot of things where I was going to carry the ball. We ended up winning that game 8-6.
What? You won again?
Yeah. I think they scored in the second quarter to go up 6-0. We're down at halftime. We got the ball in the fourth quarter, like 2 minutes to go. We're trying to drive down and take the lead. It's not going well. It's 4th and 14. We run a tailback pass where we're I formation, pitch at the tailback. My friend Cody Barnhart takes the ball and he throws it up to one of our tight ends and he goes up and tips it and falls on his back and catches the damn thing.
Whoa.
And that gives it first down. It's just like new life was breathed into the team.
Yeah.
And on that play, I'm a quarterback and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to peel around and I leak out into the left flat, kind of on a wheel route. And I'm right after I pitch it, I'm open. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be open. I'm going to catch you a second. And right when I was rounding and just getting ready to hit the wheel route, that defensive end grabbed me by the collar, just drug me down. I'm like, oh my God, I would have been wide open. But it ended up working out because we got the first down. We go down, we score, get the 2-point conversion to take the lead. Now there's, a minute and a half left. Absorki's got the ball. We got to hold them out. First play they run, boom. Kid named Naaman Berman comes in, hits the tailback. He fumbles the ball. I recover. Our ball. Ball game. Kneel it out.
What?
Over. Yep.
So that coach that took over, what was it, Coach Thompson?
John Thompson.
Thompson took over, and his first 4 years, 3 out of the 4 wins a state championship.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. So he was at Webo for 5 years. My 8th grade year, and then my 4 years of high school, he was a head coach at Webo just for the 4 years that I was there.
Then where'd he go?
He was from Butte. He's a Western Montana guy, both him and his wife. He was young, right out of college, and they just kind of wanted to get back to Western Montana. So they were going to go move back, and he moved out to Columbia Falls, and he's been a teacher out there since then. But I remember.
Did he coach?
He did some coaching. I don't think he ever was a head coach. He was just kind of an assistant in the AD for a while, but yeah.
Damn.
So, just a great guy. One of the best guys you'll ever meet. And I mean, he's one of those coaches where, if he said, hey, Nate, I need you to run through that brick wall. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. Whatever he needed us to do, we were going to do it. And
he walked on water.
I owe so much to him for what he did for me and just believing in me and putting me out there and letting me play and putting a lot on my shoulders when I needed to be the leader when I was a senior and all that stuff. I just a tremendous guy. Like I said, if you're a head coach for 4 years and you win a state championship, 3 of them, that's a pretty damn good resume right there. So yeah, he's probably the reason that I went into coaching and education because I just love football so much. I love playing for him so much that's where I just developed that love for football. Even I loved football when I was a kid before I played, but then I just thought it was the best thing ever. I just loved everything, every aspect about it.
That's an important thing is to definitely, you gotta love the coach, you gotta love the game. And it seems like when the two come together, it creates a special bond. Yeah, absolutely. It just worked out perfect. And I wish Coach Thompson would have stayed at Webo forever. And I remember the day that he said, it's right, like the summer after my senior year, he came out and said, hey, Nate, I just want to let you know that
I took another job, and it's one of those moments where I was just like, I never saw it coming at all. You know, I just figured Coach Thompson would be there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then just winning games, winning state championships, you know, forever. Caught me off guard, and I was just devastated. And I knew I was done. I wasn't going to be playing anymore, but it just really, and I don't blame him for going out west where his family's from, but I was really sad when he said he was taking off and heading back out west.
And then you go from Coach Thompson, who you really liked and is a very successful coach, to then Coach Bijou, who was a legendary coach for Dickinson State. The stadium's named after him. Very successful head coach. What was the recruiting process like with Coach Bijou at Dickinson?
Oh man, it's great. He, you know, Coach Thompson just comes gets me and a couple other guys that were seniors and say, "Hey, Coach from Dickinson here, I want you to play." And you know, you know, I kind of followed Dickinson a little bit. I've been to a few Blue Hawk games when I was a kid because there was always Weibo kids that were on the roster. And, you know, he just kind of comes in and you can tell when he looks at you, he just kind of sizes you up and he just kind of wants to get to know you and get a feel for you and stuff. But it's kind of weird. You know, it's hard to explain Coach Bijou and his tendencies. And what he did
so hard to explain.
Yeah. And I knew there were guys from Weibo there, so I was, you know, I felt comfortable knowing I'd have some people there that kind of knows what's going on because I don't like the variables, the unknown. So I just really felt comfortable going down there and playing. So
did you have any other schools in mind coming out of high school?
Well, you know, Coach Thompson asked me, said, "What you know, I got some colleges are sending out stuff. Do you know?" And I said, "Yeah, I suppose the small schools." And it was like mine at Mary Dickinson were the ones that really recruited Eastern Montana. There was really nothing from anybody in Montana. Like Rocky wasn't really recruiting our area. The one school that really was kind of persistent was Black Hill State. And they had a coach come up and talk to us, and he would call quite a bit. And I was like, I don't know. He wanted me to come down for a visit, and I'm glad I didn't go down for a visit because when I went down to Black Hills when I was a player, I was like, holy cow, this place is nice. You know, you got the big facility there and the stadium is beautiful and stuff, but I don't know even if I saw it before I decided I was going to Dickinson, I don't know if I would, but yeah, Black Hill State was the only other school that was really kind of interested in me. And when I had to call that coach and tell him that I'm going to Dickinson, he was like,
was he pissed?
He wasn't happy. Yeah. I was kind of taken back by that. And I'm like, oh, what
did he say? That sounded like a good choice. I don't know.
Just kind of his tone. And he's like, oh geez, well, you gotta give us a chance or something. You know, I'm like, well, I don't know. I was,
at least you called him.
Yeah. I was just surprised and maybe a little disappointed about that. And I don't know. I guess it's water under the bridge. And I was a young high school kid. I was naive. I thought I was awesome. I thought I was like a 5-star recruit, and I'm actually like a half-star maybe at best.
Okay, so you get to Dickinson, and when do you meet the local Divide County Howland boys?
I didn't meet those guys till I was almost done playing because they're a handful of years younger than me. Okay. When Drew came in as a freshman, would have been 97, I believe. Okay. And then that was the last year I played.
Okay. So Grant
I coached there in 98 and 99, and both Drew and Grant were there. So I kind of got to know them more then when I was a student coach at Dickinson. Yeah.
It's one question I always like to ask because I was in the same seat. But when you show up to Dickinson, okay, first, the field's bigger from Weibo. Secondly, there's 11 guys on the field. You've got a whole different array of things going on. How does a young Nate Nelson take that?
Oh man,
was it just like it shook your whole world?
It's definitely a learning curve. Yeah, because kind of in high school, you just go out there and you play hard and you just play balls out and play with your hair on fire and defense and you can make plays all over the place. And you can't really do that in college unless you're, you know, some sort of special kid. But yeah, I just kind of knew that I had to learn my job. And when I came in there, they put me at cornerback. So I'm like, okay, I got to learn corner. So where every coverage that we put in every day, I would write down my responsibilities for corner when I'm on strong side, when I'm on weak side, wide side, narrow side. So I just kind of had that. And I'm like, I'm just going to worry about this. I don't care about anything else. I just want to learn my job so I know where the hell to line up every play, because it's a lot different. You know, you're all over the place. And so I kind of felt pretty comfortable at corner. And then we get to the the blue-gray scrimmage, you're like 10 days in, 2 weeks in, or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
And I think they're kind of looking at the roster and they're looking at the defensive backs and like, oh man, how are we going to make this rotation work? Then the coach often's like, Nelly, I need you to play free safety. I'm like, oh, shoot, crap. I just got cornered down where I feel comfortable there. And I got like 1 day to learn free safety. But free safety is pretty simple. We're playing 50 cover 3. So you're in the middle of the field, you're high safety. And I actually like that better than corner. And we're in the blue-gray, and you know how it is. You get so many reps. I'm going to be like the 4th guy at free safety going in there, and I'm just ready to play. I'm so pumped up and think it's awesome. And I thought I made a few plays. I broke up a pass or something, did something, and everybody's like, wow, you played really well. I'm like, yeah, I did play pretty well. I'm like, this is great. So then you go into like Labor Day weekend or whatever, and bunch of us go back to Weibo and everybody's saying, oh, wow, you heard you did really good in the scrimmage. I'm like, yeah, I did. You did do pretty good. I was knocking people out, making some plays. And then reality strikes when you come back and you watch the film and you actually do the film evaluation. And I'm like, I was like, okay, this is going to be great. I'm coming up here pretty soon. I'm playing. These guys are getting chewed out, man. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And then it gets to me and it's like every single play, Coach Hoffman's pointing out something I did wrong. Every single play, because I'm just running around, And then he
doesn't hold back.
No, he's pretty hard.
Arlen Hoffman is.
Yeah,
he coached me. Well, I was offense, but yeah, he's pretty.
Yeah, and I kind of just when I leave the meeting room, you walk out and you feel like you're an inch tall. You're like, oh man, I'm so terrible. I suck so bad. Yeah. And I went into it thinking, man, I really did well in the scrimmage. But I tell you what, when the coaches point out everything you did wrong, I tell you what, after that, I didn't take my read steps on the first read steps. I kind of like, okay, if there's a camera going, they're going to catch every little mistake
tape
you do.
Don't
so
lie.
You have to, the tape don't lie. So I learned a lot there. And it was probably a good humbling experience to think, oh man, you got a lot to learn. You got a long ways to go if you're gonna see the field around here.
So you're fresh. Did you have to redshirt?
I didn't redshirt. It was kind of like it was up to you, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, oh shoot, I'll be out of here in 4 years. Mm-hmm. and that didn't happen. But I didn't end up redshirting. And back then we were playing JV games.
Oh really?
So we would go to Black Hills and play them. And this is the craziest thing ever. We'd go to Black Hills, and there'd be 4 freshman DBs, and they got 4 wide receivers. So we're playing,
spreading it out.
We're playing cover 1, and just because we don't have any other DBs,
right?
So that made it tough, But
yeah.
So but we played some JV games, and you get a little bit better there, but it's kind of like a ragtag group that was thrown together. But so I didn't end up redshirting, and it just played the 4 years, 94 to 97.
Okay, so during those 4 years, when did it come to kind of your mind that you wanted to become a teacher coach, or did you know that going in?
I didn't really know that. I remember when I decided to go into education, it was my sophomore year, and I was taking accounting 2, and I'm a business major, business management or business administration. I don't know whichever one, but I was doing my accounting homework, and I breezed through accounting 1. It's no problem. I was doing some simple math, and accounting 2 was way too hard. And I'm like, I got 20 problems to do. I can't even get through the first 2. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to change my major. I'm going to go into education. So next day I went and changed my major, got in a bunch of different classes, started taking education classes. And I kind of said, this is a little better fit for me, I think. You just don't really know what you want to do or what you're gonna you're not thinking career at that time. You're thinking college, you're 19, 20 years old. So
definitely a feel out period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you get through Dickinson. Can you give me a few, what's one highlight in your mind as a Dickinson State Blue Hawk that sticks out for you? Oh man,
that's a good one. That's a tough question.
Did you play with Shan Schillinger?
No,
was he was younger.
He's quite a bit younger than me. Yeah,
Jace.
Jace.
I got it screwed up.
Jace is I want to say I wasn't even around when Jace was playing, and he wasn't even there when I was coaching. So he came in right afterward. And I remember it was okay, you read in the newspaper and Jace is going to go out to Carroll. You're like, what? We can't have a Baker kid going to Carroll, especially with the last name Schilling. So I remember, and I'm going to take credit for this. And I think I've told Coach Bijot this too, that I take credit for recruiting Jace to Dickinson because at the Rainbow Bar in Webo, I don't know what the hell was going on, but Jace is there and I'm talking to him, hey, if things don't work out at Carroll, you should come over to Dickinson, stuff like that. And I think he was maybe at Carroll for either a semester or 1 year, then he transfers back to Dickinson. So I always claim, and this probably isn't true, but I'll claim his recruitment to the Blue Hawks.
Was Coach Stanton, did he leave Terry and come to Dickinson during that time?
No.
Okay.
After I got done playing, I believe Coach Stanton did a couple more years at Terry, and they had some good teams, and they were state runner-up, I think, 2 years in a row. They lost to Scobie both years. And then he goes out to Belgrade, Montana.
Okay.
And I think that's when he did his master's stuff, and then he was there for a handful of years, couple years, and then he comes back to Dickinson after that.
What now? Pete Leno was there, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The GOAT.
Oh, man. I love Coach Leno's classes. They were just...
Oh, me too.
When he started telling stories, you're like, I don't want this to end because they were just the best. Yeah,
he's the man.
Yeah, he's so much fun. Such a good guy, man. He would get after those. The first couple of days of practice, I'm a freshman. You just hear somebody just screaming and yelling, like, "What in the hell's going on? Did somebody get shot from the crow's nest or something?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, man, that's Leno just yelling at the young Huggies." I'm like, "Oh my god." Glad I'm not an offensive lineman. But he would get after those guys. But man, what a good dude.
Yeah, always the best.
All those guys when I was at Dickinson, just great guys. And I know a few of the coaches now, but not too many of them. But they seem like good guys.
Oh yeah, it's in good hands. Sorry to stray you from your question, but can you think of one that sticks out in your mind?
I don't know.
Or what your favorite maybe?
Oh shoot, that's a tough one. I would probably have to say, like I said, I was a scout team player as a freshman and sophomore. And then when I was a junior, I finally got to where I was consistent on the travel team. And I traveled like a couple times when I was a sophomore. And that's like the worst when you go, the list is posted who's traveled like on Friday morning or whatever. And you go look at the list and you're not on there. You're like, shoot. It's just devastating because
it is.
That's really tough because, when that's a situation, you don't even feel like you're part of the team because everybody else is practicing on Friday and they're taking off and heading out on the road somewhere. And you couldn't watch the game on TV or anything, or you couldn't stream it or anything back then. So you kind of hear the score, you don't know what happened. Then you watch film of a game of the team that you're on and you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't even, it's really tough. It's mentally, it's hard on you when you think you maybe have a chance to be on that travel list and you're not on there. It's tough. But by the time I was a junior, I made the travel team every game that year. And I kind of got to where I was Coach Hoffland's utility guy, where he kind of like, you got to know every position. You got to know.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. So my junior and senior year, I played every position. I played left corner, right corner, strong safety, free safety, nickel, and dime in game situations. So I played all 6 defensive back spots, and I didn't really practice that. I've never taken a practice snap at strong safety, or what we called the hawk then, but I just expected that I was a guy that was going to know exactly what to do in every position. And I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. If I knew I was playing strong safety or the hawk, I knew I got to go to the strength every time. And then I can kind of figure it out from there. But then, and the nickel was always opposite the hawk. But gosh, I don't know. My senior year homecoming, we're playing Crookston and Dickinson. And the kid that's playing cornerback, Brian Knob, kid out of Laurel, really good cornerback, same age as me, good dude. He breaks his ankle.
Really?
Yeah, bad. Like I think it was like both bones right above his ankle, and he's down. And I'm on the sidelines. I didn't know what the hell happened. And then I'm like, what happened? Everybody's like, oh, geez, And then they say, oh, Knob's hurt bad. And I'm like, okay. I didn't even wait for him to tell me. I just went on the field because I knew I was the next guy up. Mm-hmm. And I think that was midway through or early second quarter I got in there. I ended up getting 2 interceptions that game.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the first one was like the quarterback was falling backwards and I was on the weak side. And I like bobbled it. And if I'd have stayed on my feet, I probably would have scored the damn thing. But then I fell down and rolled over and I was just so happy that I didn't drop the damn thing. And then later on in the game, the last play of the game, they threw one up, kind of a Hail Mary. We were up and I caught it and ran out of bounds. And then I ran down the sideline with the ball.
Nice.
So I was like, I thought I was pretty good there.
Yeah.
So that was maybe the highlight of my college career, but just being around the guys and, you know, the guys that you meet, the friends that you make. And I kind of, you know, you reminisce about that stuff. And the last December, I was going through a bunch of my stuff, and I had these shoe boxes full of old pictures, and I pulled them out, and excuse me. And it was a lot of those pictures. So, you know, you get the old disposable camera from parties in college. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember exactly what we were doing this day.
Yeah.
And you see that, you're like, I forgot all about that. And you see a guy, you're like, oh God, I forgot all about that dude. I wonder what that guy's up to. And just, it was fun to go through those and reminisce and look back. And I'm like, geez, we drank a lot of Busch Light. Holy crap. Unbelievable amounts of beer and fun and you know, trying to chase girls and all that stuff. No success there or anything like that. But yeah, it's just such a good place. And you know what Dickinson's all about.
Love Dickinson.
So much fun back then. I have so many fond memories, and it kind of makes me wish that you could get together with those guys you played with and stuff. But it's just so hard. And everybody's got families and schedules living all over the place, you know.
Well, that's one thing that I think Dickinson State does a good job with, is kind of creating that family atmosphere. And I know Bijou did it really well. I know Coach Stanton's doing it really well too. And I can't believe that you got to play against Coach Stanton.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You have to ask him about that.
I know. Yeah. I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
One of my first podcasts I did was with him.
Oh yeah.
And it meant a lot to me to have him on.
Shoot. Yeah. I'm a big swim lessons fan.
I know.
Listen to every podcast. I'm hauling grain in the summer. I'll just listen to like 5 episodes in 2 days or something. Yeah.
No. And the other part that I want to talk about was, okay, so when you coach there, when do you obviously finish up your degree? And then we bring, do you need another water? I can grab you one.
I'm okay.
Okay. When Divide County kind of comes into play, was there another town that was kind of trying to get you, or that you, hey, maybe I should go back to Montana. Maybe I should go back to Weebo. Oh, that's a new place. That's way north by the Canadian border. What were your thoughts kind of going? This is something I've always wondered.
This is a crazy story too. But so you know, about a couple weeks after my senior year, we're done playing, you know, and and I'm like, oh man, I know I'm not ready to graduate. I don't have enough credits to graduate. I'm going to be around another year. I'm like, there's no way I can be a student at Dickinson State and not be involved in the football program. And I'm like, I got to go see if I can be a student coach.
Yeah.
So I went down and talked to Coach Hoff, and he said, yeah, I'll look into it. We got to talk to Coach Bijou, and we'll get all of it. So things get lined out. I ended up being on the staff as a student coach, student assistant. And that would have been in 98. And I loved it. I mean, it was so much fun. We thought we were, you know, there was a couple of the guys my age that were on the, you know, Ryan Gatch and Dwayne Monlocks.
Coach Gatch was on there?
Absolutely.
And Monlocks?
Yeah.
Wow.
Brent Maynard, those guys. Yeah. So we thought we were king shit, you know.
Yeah.
But I really had a lot of fun, and you know, you're just happy to be a part of it still.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up I graduate. I got a frog in my throat here, so I've got to.
No, you're okay. It's all good. Yeah, don't worry about it. Like I said, let me know if you need some more. We can pause this thing and come back.
So I end up graduating, thinking I want to coach football. I'm going to be a high school teacher. I kind of want to go back out to Montana. I always liked the mountains. I love whenever we went out west when I was a kid. I'm like, God, this is awesome. Just get up and look at the mountains and see the clouds. I thought that was great. And I put out a few applications. Never really got any callbacks. You know, never really got anything back. Never did a few interviews, but it was at places I wasn't going to fit, or I knew it wasn't right. Mm-hmm. So it's like July. It's like this time of year, the year after I graduated, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? I'm working on the ranch here, man. It's been 5 years.
You want to be there.
Yeah. And all of a sudden the phone rings, and I'm down in my parents' basement. It's Coach Bijou. He's like, Nathan, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, not too much. He goes, did you get a job yet? I'm like, no, not yet. I was kind of embarrassed to say I haven't found anything. He goes, I need you to come back. I need you to help me coach this year. I'm like, oh, really? And I kind of had never thought of that. You know, I never thought of that as an option. He's like, well, is there any way you could take some more credits and get some more towards your degree? And I said, well, yeah, actually, I think I took like 24 credits that semester and ended up getting another degree. I got a PE, basically a PE major.
Oh,
So I got a whole nother degree because a lot of the classes I had already taken, or already had completed overlapped with the PE stuff. So I was like, good to go. And it was kind of a pain doing 24 credits, and had to kind of line some stuff up with Coach Daniel and guys like that, and Coach Leno, and some of those guys had to help me out a little bit and gave me some leeway with what I was doing for my classes. But I went back that year, and Coach Bijou was like, I want you to coach receivers. I'm like, oh,
whoa,
okay.
That's new.
And this is a strange thing, but he said, you can do whatever you want in practice as long as you do one blocking drill a day.
Nice.
I'm like, okay. I mean, he's just basically turning over a whole position group to me. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I threw so many damn balls that year. I should have went and got some scout team quarterbacks, but I thought my right arm was going to fall off after every practice. I was just throwing balls and drills. And Dwayne Munlux, who had played quarterback and receiver, he was on staff still, and he helped me out with a lot of the drills and things like that, and had a good group of guys to work with. Brian Mills was there. I don't know if you know who he is. He was just he was effort every single play, and he worked so hard. But I had a good group of guys, and I learned a lot because I'd always been on the defensive side of the ball. And, just being in the offensive meetings and learning stuff from Coach Bijou, I really learned a lot, and that really helped me as a coach, just coaching on the other side of the ball. And I was just so proud that Coach B would just kind of turn a group over to me and say, as long as I do a blocking drill, I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm like, wow, this is
that's
great.
a confidence
I thought I'd hit
booster.
the big time. And then, so one day I'm walking through Wienerberger Hall, and, after practice or something, Coach B goes, Nathan, come down here. I'm like, oh, crap. Usually when he calls you down to his office, you're in trouble. I'm like, what did I do? I don't think I did anything. What the crap? He goes, I got a guy here in Crosby that wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? Well, wait, what? Where's Crosby, and who am I? And he's dialing the phone. He's not answering my questions. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he dialed the phone. He hands me. I'm like, hello? And this is Norm Sorlin.
Wow.
He says, we're going to have a history opening this fall. This is when Bud Molander was going into his last year, and he was going to retire.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay. It was the worst first impression I probably made on Mr. Sorlin ever, because I just out of the blue, he didn't even get a guy in Crosby that wants to talk to you and hands me the receiver. I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah. So
this is like September, and he's like, and Norm's like, well, we're going to come down to Minot because the Blue Hawks were playing up in Minot, and we'll talk to you after the game. I'm like, oh, okay. This is kind of weird. I thought it was odd. I wasn't even thinking about getting a job or anything, but we go up to Minot, we play, we lose. Of course, I'm crabby because we lose, and I'm kind of mad at myself because, like I said, I'd had all this responsibility just bestowed upon me with the wide receivers, and I wasn't bright enough to watch the film and realize that Minot was going to have their corners up and freaking jamming the piss out of my receivers, and receivers played terrible because their stupid coach didn't prepare them very well. But I'm in a bad mood, and I think Mr. Sorlin, Don Nielsen came and talked to me a little bit after the game, and they were just kind of getting to know me a little bit, and I kind of just put it in the back of my mind and didn't think about it again. But I was like, oh, yeah, they seem like all right guys, But I'm pissed because we lost to Minot, So at the end of the season, we get in the playoffs, and we're playing Rocky Mountain at home. It was a big deal making the playoffs, playing Rocky Mountain. I'm like, if we win this game, we get to play Mary again. We're going to beat those suckers, And we played really well. And then it kind of just fell apart at the end, and we lose to Rocky, and I'm so mad about this. And when you're in college and you're a player or a coach or whatever, and you lose a game, you're going to drink a lot of beer. So I'd had quite a few beers immediately after the game, and go to the social because I'm on the coaching staff, So I go up to the social at the Elks there, and I'm quite a few beers deep, and all of a sudden, Coach was like, Nathan, come over here. I got some guys from Crosby who want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, crap.
Well, they're at the social.
Well, it was Butch Hauglin.
No.
And John Hanisch.
No.
Yes.
No way.
So Coach Bijou sits me down at the table with these two guys from Crosby, and it was like, they're putting a full court, how Butch was, put the full court press on me about, you got to come up to, and he's slamming his fist like he did.
Yeah.
And John and Butch are buying me more damn drinks. I mean, than I knew what to, and I was sucking them back like no tomorrow. But that was just like, these guys really want me to come up for an interview, I guess. But that was like, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 hours of talking to John and Butch is just selling Crosby and Divide County and how I got to come up and this would be the greatest thing ever. And I'm kind of like, oh man.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was
I
crazy.
had no idea
yeah,
that happened.
Yeah. I was drinking vanilla vodka and Coke for some reason. I bet you Butch bought me 25 of those damn things. But yeah, so that was like in November, and then comes around to the springtime. Don Nielsen keeps calling me, and I'm kind of holding out for a job in Montana. One of my family friends has a job out there, and he's like, he kept saying, I got to let you know in a week. And I kind of kept putting Crosby off, kind of putting him off. And then finally the guy in Montana says, it's not going to be open. I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I immediately called and came up for an interview. And I came up on a Monday, I'm pretty sure, for my interview, like in early May. And the weekend before I went to Billings, and my friends are up there, and we tie one on, and for like 3 days we tied her on and had more damn beer than we should have. I'm still hungover when I'm on this interview. I'm like, oh, that wasn't very smart. I shouldn't have drank 7,000 beers this past weekend. That was dumb.
Yeah.
But I get to Crosby, and I kind of straighten up my tie, put some deodorant on in the car, go in for the interview, and it went really well. You know, I talked to Mr. Sortland, of course, and he had me come talk to Barry, who was the AD, and he's talking about all this stuff that they have implemented for coaches, and that was great. And then I went to talk to Don Nielsen, and then I talked to Mr. Brown, and then I talked to Butch, and it was like full day thing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this is I thought I'd be out here in an hour. I didn't know what the hell, like I said, I'm really hungover.
Yeah.
And I knew the interview had gone pretty well because they wanted me to spend the night and go have beers with them.
Nice. Oh like, my God, that's
and
great.
I'm like, I probably went pretty well. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go out to the golf course. We'll go out there. We can stay with one of us, or we'll get you a hotel. I'm like, no, I can't. I better not. And the reason I probably should have stayed. It would have been a lot of fun, but I'm so hungover right now. I'm like, I got to get back and get some sleep, man. But yeah. So like a few weeks later, when the other job in Montana fell through, I called up Don and said, yeah, send a contract down. So
no way.
But they were really persistent, if you can imagine, how Butch is when they're, and then Don Nielsen kept calling me. And I'm like, God, they really are interested in me. They really want me to come.
Yeah.
No other place is this persistent and really want me to go anywhere. I had other interviews where I'd done pretty well, and I got offered jobs, but I was kind of picky about what I wanted. And I was like, I'm going to go up there and maybe go up there for a year or two, go up to Crosby, and then I'll find something else. And here I am 23 years later.
Sitting
right here doing a podcast with Dallas Hansen.
One of your former players.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you met Mr. Bob Brown your first time here.
I did. Yeah. He was not coaching. He was teaching, a weightlifting class.
He wasn't coaching.
No, this is in May. So he was coaching, and he's like putting the full court press in. Yeah, I want you to come in. I want you to run the defense. And he's talking about what he does.
He had some background on you.
Oh yeah. So they had all the intel on me, man. It was
really,
yeah. So I sat there with him for like a full class period, and we were in the weight room, and he just got these kids, is some big dudes. It was like Ryan Nordstog and Nick Wishart. They're just pumping. I'm like, God, these kids are huge, man. We
really
put together a team with these guys,
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was a good experience, good interview. Probably the best thing I ever did in my life was take the job in Crosby, North Dakota.
That's awesome. Okay, so you move up here. Does Mr. Brown like, okay, hey Nate, I want you to be D coordinator right off the bat, or what's that?
Yeah, it was kind of, he just like, I want you to handle everything on the defense, whatever you want. You want to run a 1-man line or a 9-man line, whatever you want, you do it. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is kind of what I wanted, So he just basically turned it over to me and said, do whatever the heck you want.
And then, okay, so that was 1999, right?
That would have been the fall of 2000 is when I started.
Fall of 2000, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so fall of 2000. When did you know that you and Mr. Brown were going to have a pretty special relationship? Did it take a few years to develop, or was it like kind of clicked right off the bat?
Not really. It kind of clicked right away because, we would sit and talk football for hours and X and O and scratch out stuff on the board and all that stuff. So I'm like, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And you could probably put him in any scheme you want and he can make it work, and I knew this guy really loved football. So it's great. We would just, when he and I would just get together and just talk football for our preps, whatever lineup at school.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get anything done because Mr. Brown was coming down, or I was going down. We were talking about football, drawing up schemes and stuff. And it's like it's like February. We're not even football season, but we're putting this up here. And what do we do with this kid? Put this kid here and all this stuff. So yeah, it's great because we both just love talking ball, love X and O and all the stuff that comes with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that in my high school when I was going to high school, it's prep period stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's so many notebooks have been sacrificed for football stuff, and chalk and dry erase and all that stuff. Yeah.
When you came into kind of your own here at Divide County as a coach, was there any keys that Mr. Brown, kind of being in the coaching realm for a while, that was like, hey, to be successful, now I'm gonna do this, or to kind of connect with the kids, do this?
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't anything he really said. It was just more like you're just watching him and how he connects with the kids and how he worked with them and how he talked to them. And it's more lead by example than anything specifically he said. But yeah, definitely has a good rapport. I mean, he hasn't taught for a couple, 2-3 years now, but he's still got that same rapport with the kids in the weight room and at practice and things like that. So I think it's just something that he's born with. He was blessed with this ability to communicate with young men and get his point across and get them to do exactly what he wants on a given play.
When you guys became co-head coaches, when was that? Was that 2000?
2001. So I'm here for 1 year in the fall of 2000, and I'm the defensive coordinator and I'm the assistant coach. And I don't know, you can ask Mr. Brown this, but I think he was kind of worried that I was going to leave. So he kind of wanted to kind of give me a promotion, I think, or maybe he wanted to take some of the load off his shoulders from all the BS you have to do as a head coach. I don't know if it was maybe a combination of those two things, but yeah, it was my second year here, fall of 2001. We became co-head coaches. I'm like, how's this going to work? And he had talked to some other places like Edgeley Culm had co-head coaches and talked to them and how it works out. And you kind of just have to have open communication. You kind of have to have the same philosophy. You have to agree to disagree sometimes. And you know that you're both working for the same goal. So basically we have, I'm spending 95% of my time on defense and 5% on offense. And he's 95% offense, 5% defense. So we got two coaches on each side of the ball that are basically all in, and that's all we do and all we think about. And that's what our laser beam focus is.
When you look back on kind of Mr. Brown's legacy and even your legacy, is there any games or moments that you guys as coaches come to mind?
Oh,
I know that's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah,
but
that's a tough one.
Even the first one that just comes up.
Oh, shoot.
Because you guys have been in some really tight, even semifinal games, state championship games.
Shoot, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think one that you always remember would be like the semifinal game at New Salem in 05.
Zach Jovig's just beaming ear to ear right now.
That was something else, man. That was the best. Yeah. And I don't know, we're lucky we got to that point because 2 days before the game, so the game's on Saturday, it's a playoff game. I decided I'm going to put in a different defense, just because I'm kind of antsy and stuff like that.
Thinking about it.
And I'm overthinking it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I put in some sort of new defense. I don't even remember what the heck it was. And I was like, this will be good. We're going to run this. And then we get in the game and it doesn't work. And like Eric Bilstead, he was our quarterback and he played linebacker. And he's like, God damn it, let's go back to our regular stuff, And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So you go back to the regular stuff that we were in, you're just overthinking it. And that was a heck of a game, and we're doing the 2-minute drill to get down, and Devin Jacobson kicks a dang 37-yard field goal, I believe, as time expires, which is kind of unheard of for high school ball. Yeah.
That was awesome. And then it was right in front of, they got a New Salem crowd, and it was a crazy game. I was young at the time, but I remember it.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was nuts. And I remember, you couldn't really watch when Devin was kicking that ball, and I just kind of saw it go through, and then I turned around and was like raising my hand, and all of a sudden I see just people just diving over the fence, just swarming the field. Yeah, it was crazy because I got that big chain link fence around their field. Yeah. That's one that sticks out, but there's so many games. I've had so many dang games. You have 8 or 10 games a season for 20 years. It's hard to keep track of them all. And then all of a sudden you pop in a tape. You're like, oh God, I remember this game. This is coming up here. This is going to be, but yeah, there's so many good memories coaching here. It's hard to narrow it down to just a handful.
Well, I gotta say the way you guys did your coaching, and I know speaking from a person that played for you, it's pretty monumental.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys think that way.
Oh, thank you.
Is there something that you, maybe if it's some younger coaches, like myself or anybody else, that you might be able to give them some advice on how to build something like that?
Oh man, I don't know. I think you just got to be yourself. You got to be yourself, and then you got to trust your instincts, trust your gut. But then it's about getting kids to buy into what your philosophy is, what your scheme is, what your culture is, and all that stuff. And I don't know what the magic wand is to get that to happen. It just seems like it just comes when the kids trust you and they say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. They're not going to do this if it's not going to help us be successful. So I don't know if there is any magic thing you can tell them, but yeah, be yourself. Don't be somebody you're not. Like I said, at games, I'm going to be pretty fired up, and I'm going to be pretty intense. And some guys aren't like that. And then don't be somebody you're not. Do you do you. Mm-hmm. And then I think just trust your instincts, trust your gut. And like I said, sometimes trust my gut tells me to eat chicken wings, and I say, yeah, I'm going to do that. So, yeah.
What and me and Zach Jovic, aka Zach Govig, shout out to my best buddy,
Zach City,
baby, and. We always joke with you when we see you. Now that we're out of high school, we always joke about top 5. Do you have a top 5 in your mind?
No, I don't.
God, come on.
Usually when you guys ask me that, I've had quite a few beers and you get me going, and I just like hearing the stories. But yeah, there's so many good players. I mean, I should do a ranking of put 10 guys at every position in no order, but I'd leave somebody off and I'd feel bad. But there's so many good kids, so many tough kids that have played for us that it would be impossible to put it in a list where you rank. But yeah, we've had some good dudes that have played for us, good people, not just good players. But that's the most important thing as a coach, is when you can see guys that you coached 10 years ago, and they're successful in life and they're doing well and they got a family and they're a good part of society and a positive person. And that's great to see. That's kind of what it's all about, Oh,
100%. So when this comes out, you'll probably be in week 3 or 4 of the season. How are the Divide Cameroons football team looking for this year?
Oh man, that's the $1 million question. You wouldn't believe how many times I get asked that in the summertime. Sure. And
I feel like Buddy Garrity on Friday nights. Come on, tell me, Nelson, what's the team gonna be like?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. We've got some good guys. We got a lot of guys returning that have experience, that have been playing for either 1 year or 2 years, and that's always a good place to start. Mm-hmm. We should have good numbers. Hopefully we have more than 30 kids in the team, which gives you depth, which it's not common in 9-man. Nobody really has depth anymore, because teams are smaller. It's harder to get kids out, harder to get kids to come out and work hard. But if you have depth, then you don't have to put a freshman out there who's not ready just because they're a good athlete. You got to think you got to rush a kid out there or put him on the field. But, hopefully we have a good season. There's so many variables that are beyond our control that you can't worry about. So I'm hopeful that we have a good season. Who knows what's going to happen? I hope we don't go 0-8. Right. We could go 8-0, or it could be somewhere in between. I don't know. That's not a very good answer, but I like the kids we have coming back. They're good kids. They're going to work really, really hard, and that's a great place to start.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a good way to put it. I mean, you got some really good athletes, and especially in this senior class.
Yeah, some good guys, and they've been on the field a lot. So it's always nice when you have a senior-oriented team, because a lot of those guys have been through the battles. And then when it's your senior year, you know that, hey, I got one more shot. This is it. Mm-hmm. This is the season that we got to get it done, because they're in the next season. So hopefully that urgency with the senior class is something that'll help us out and maybe carry us a little bit. We'll see what happens,
Yeah, and like we were talking about before the podcast, Carter, your son.
Yeah.
In your daughter Hadley, obviously. But do you think you'd like to coach Carter one day, possibly?
I think so. I mean, I hope so anyway, but we'll see what happens. It's not easy coaching your son. Logan was on the team a couple years ago, and then it's kind of like you got to be harder on your own kid than you would be any other kid, because you don't want to show any favoritism. So I think that made it a little tougher for Logan, but he did a great job. He worked really hard and was a good football player for us. So I hope if you would ask Logan what his experience was playing football, he would say it was a positive one.
Yeah. Well, and then one thing I want to touch about too is because you're a big family guy too. I mean, you got your wife Jody, stepson Logan, and then you got the two little ones.
Yeah.
What's it like to have a creative family along with being a full-time coach and a full-time teacher?
Oh man, it's busy. Like right now in the summertime, I'm working at the farm, and we're a couple weeks out from harvest. We'll probably be in school before they start combining, so I won't be able to help out with that much. But once school starts and you got football, it's busy. I mean, and I'm drained when I get done with practice. It's like 6 o'clock, get home, have some supper, and you're like, oh my, I can't wait till 9 o'clock when I can go to bed. But you gotta find a way to do things. I'm gonna go on a bike ride with Hadley, because even though I'm dog tired, but she loves going on bike rides. Or you got to do something. You got to go play catch with Carter, and you got to make time to do those things with your family, even though you're really, really busy with everything else. That's important. You can't neglect your family in that situation. But if you don't get an extra hour of sleep, or you got to do something else, you don't get a rest, you don't get to watch TV, that's fine. That stuff's not important. You gotta make time to spend some time with your kids and stuff like that.
That's a good point. Way to put that. That's awesome. That's spot on.
Yeah.
What's on your notebook?
Oh man, I don't know.
That. Come on, we got some time yet.
You got some time? Okay.
Yeah, we got some time.
How about we take a time out and I get another shot of water, then we'll come back and I got to recharge a little bit here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a time out. Yeah, I'll get some water too.
We can throw it to one of the sponsors, right? Put a commercial break in here.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, go ahead. We'll be right back. That's one sponsorship I've always wanted to get, is Liquid IV. God, they're the best. I live and die. Did you like the first few sips?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So like one of those tablets is 3 bottles of water.
Oh, okay.
So it like kind of just helps the whole rotation.
Kind of like a lemonade, Gatorade.
Yeah.
I got to talk about those sponsors, man. We got to get some guys on.
I know.
Watching that Bussin' with the Boys, you got the no free shout outs.
I know.
We got to get.
That's one of my favorite. I love that, no Bussin' with the Boys.
Oh, that's cool. That's so fun to listen to those guys.
Oh, it's the best.
They're characters.
And we're back. Okay, we got our water, and I was just talking to Mr. Nelson about the Liquid IV situation, and he's a rookie, but we're getting him into the game, and that's it's the best. I love Liquid IV.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get them on as a sponsor.
I know.
And I was thinking about another idea for a sponsor. We got to get New Century Ag on as a sponsor.
Oh, that's a good call.
It's harvest season coming up here in Northwest North Dakota, and there's going to be guys listening to podcasts in the combine, in the grain cart, in the truck, and they'll be probably listening to swim lessons, and they'll be like, oh gosh, sponsored by New Century Ag, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I got that 100,000 bushels of wheat, I should sell to New Century Ag. So we got to talk to Michelson and Grant and Bum and get those guys on board, get New Century as a sponsor.
How didn't I think of that? That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Any other ones you got in mind?
Oh gosh, what else could we do? Yeah, New Century.
Joey's. I mean, my neighbor is Chris Tissey.
Oh, he definitely. I think he'd be all over that.
As much money as spent in there, I think he can afford it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. Joey Sports Bar.
I want to get Chris on here, but I just don't know if he'd do it.
He might. He might. Never know.
I should ask him.
That would be an interesting podcast.
Yeah.
You got Chris on here, because man, I bet you he's got some stories. You might have to.
A lot of local history.
Oh yeah. You have to put that one. That one might be for the members only. Put that behind the paywall, man.
No kidding. Well, I never even got to talk to you about our favorite show, The Office.
Oh yeah.
Well, I remember in high school going to your class and even like kind of pre-football practice, post-football practice, talking about it. But isn't that the best?
Oh, that's the best show ever made, in my opinion. But it's so funny, and obviously you and I kind of have the same sense of humor where that stuff is funny. The cringy Michael Scott is, you're like, oh my God, what is he doing? Why is he saying that? And I've seen those episodes so many times.
Me too.
They're on like Comedy Central and some other channel every night. So now Hadley's like, She's watching
she's
it. And
getting into it.
she thinks it's hilarious. And thankfully she doesn't get some of the jokes and they go above her head, but she'll eventually figure it out if it's still on in 10 years and she's watching it. But yeah, she thinks it's hilarious. She's like, it's time to get ready for bed. And she's like, is Office on? Can we watch Office? I'm like, let me check. And yeah, it's on. And then she's like, she knows all the characters, but she doesn't like know their names. She'd be like, now is Pam with Jim now, or is she with that other guy? I go, you mean Roy? Yeah, the guy that works in the warehouse. And I'm like, no, she's with Roy now. And in a later season, she'll get together. She's like, okay, she gets all that. So.
You should mess with her and be like, no, she's with Creed.
Oh God. Oh man, that would throw her for a loop. She would not be happy with that. So
I think Creed is my favorite.
Oh, he's funny.
The best.
Yeah, I think. We could go into conspiracy theories here and go down a rabbit hole, but I think there's a better chance that Creed is the Scranton Strangler than Toby.
Oh, yeah.
I would say Creed, no doubt. He'd be the first one I investigate if I was Lackawanna County Sheriff's Department.
Like when Creed shows up for Halloween and there's all that blood and stuff, and he goes, that is good timing.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, he would have like 3 lines per episode, but they'd all be just gold.
And then he, when he's in like the one-on-one interview thing and he's like, just keep talking with me till the cops leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that show is so funny. I mean, it never gets old.
Or like those little equations he has. If I get Pam's chair, I have 3 chairs. I just need 1 more chair.
Yeah. It's so sad that they didn't come up with some sort of spin-off with one of those characters, man. So you're sitting there and I'm driving the bus to a track meet, or I'm doing whatever where you're just killing time. I'm sitting in the tractor in the summer and I'm just thinking about all the possibilities for spin-offs with that. That would have been so epic.
Yeah.
Use some of the same characters, but then bring in some new ones. But that show is just classic. I just love it.
Oh, it was. Okay, so what else is on the notepad? You got some stuff on there.
I got my notepad here, and I have, like I said, I'm a big swim lessons fan. I've listened to everyone, and I kind of knew what was coming at me, but like I said, I was kind of nervous because I don't want to screw this up. Because you've had guys that play in the NFL on here and things like that. So I'm like, I got to kind of prepare things, and I just like to have a list in front of me. And I scratched this out a little bit before we started taping this episode, and I just wanted to put down a few things. I'm like, make sure I didn't forget anything that I wanted to talk about, or if there's a funny story. So then like I said, when I got going, I didn't want to even look at this list, and I don't even know if I looked at it when I was there. So that's good. If I write something down, then I usually remember it, or it sticks in my head a little bit. That's just how I learn. So I put the list down and got that there. So
is there any that we missed?
Not really. Nothing. There's one story I could tell you about Coach Bijot.
Please
that
do.
You might like that. That's kind of a funny one. It's the same thing. I think it's one of those. Oh, excuse, knock the mic over.
No, that's all right.
It's one of those stories when one of the years I was coaching, and I'm walking through Weinberger Hall again, and Coach Bijot sees you walking. He's like, Nathan, come down here. And it's the same thing. Like I said in the other show, like, oh crap, what happened? What did I do?
Scary.
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on here? I don't think I got in trouble. But I go in there and he hands me a shirt. He's got a shirt and a hanger. And he's like, I don't know where this shirt came from. I asked Tony if he wanted it. He said he didn't. I've seen you wear plaid before. Thought you might like it. I'm like, okay, cool. So he gives me like a plaid shirt. And he goes, like I said, he just showed up in his office. And Tony is Coach Bijot's son. He didn't want the shirt. So I got the shirt. I'm like, yeah, sure. Thanks, Coach. He did. Just, that's it.
Do you still have it?
I still have it.
No way.
Yeah, I would wear it I'd bring it out every once in a while. Then I'd tell the story that goes with it. So I think it's in one of my bins with souvenirs and stuff like that. So I'm like, I can't throw this away. Coach Bijot gave me this shit. So it's kind of out of style, and my wife doesn't let me wear things that make me look ridiculous or out of style or too old. So she would never let me out of the house with it now, but I got to keep it. So
you'll have to send me a Snapchat after this, and I got to see that.
I'll dig through the archives and find her.
One thing. Sorry. Go ahead. Is there anything else?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything else. Yeah.
One thing I also want to talk about, because when this comes out, it'll be a little bit later into the NFL season. Probably will just be right around the corner. We talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, but you're a big Broncos guy.
Right.
I'm a big Chiefs guy. The AFC West is absolutely loaded. Absolutely loaded with talent, top to bottom. It's probably the craziest division in football, and this might be the most talented the AFC West has been since the NFL started.
Yeah,
and it's crazy.
It is. It's ridiculous.
How insane it is.
You could you could make a case that, preseason, I know things will change by the end of the season, but you could make a case that this is the most loaded division in the history of the NFL before a season starts. Because I think you could legitimately go through all 4 teams and you could make an argument that this is going to be the team that wins it, or this is going to be the team that, is a playoff team. You could certainly make a case for every team being a playoff team, winning the division. Probably you could make a case that every team has a chance to be a Super Bowl team and win the dang thing. It's ridiculous. It's going to be fun to see it play out. The Broncos finally got a quarterback. They got Russell in there.
What's your thoughts on him?
All accounts are, and I was never a big Russ fan when he was with the Seahawks, but I kind of don't like the Seahawks in general.
Me neither.
But I was excited when they got him because he's all in, and it kind of reminds me of when Manning came to town and he just bought in and moved his family there, and Peyton Manning still lives in Denver and he still shows up at the facility and he still is a part of it. I think I kind of get that same vibe with Russell Wilson. I think he's going to be good. Denver's really struggled at quarterback, and they've got good players around them. So I'm optimistic about the season. It's nice to have hope because last year at this time we're looking at Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock battling out, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know.
It's like the blind leading the blind.
You're like, hopefully we can get a wild card with that. That's the best. That's your ceiling, is a wild card with those guys. And of course they didn't achieve that. So it's nice to have hope.
Did you see the Russell Wilson, "Let's ride"?
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
I think I said that to you a few times.
Yeah. I saw the thing where they had a meme or whatever on the social media today where Russ is showing up to training camp and he's got this big jacked up pickup and he's wearing a number 3 Russell Wilson jersey. And then the split screen is Aaron Rodgers and he's got like a tank top on. And they said, looks like Aaron Rodgers just came out of Con Air, Nicolas Cage. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that is awesome. This is one of my favorite times of year, though, like 2-a-days and definitely other than like a true fall day, this is awesome.
Oh yeah. And then the information coming out of camp starting in the next couple of days, you just starving for NFL information in June and early July. And all of a sudden it's like, there's an update every day about who looked good in camp and if somebody gets hurt or, what's going on. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a lot of fun for football fans, definitely.
One thing that I was thinking about, I know this is tough with you coaching, but we got to get me, you, and the Haugen boys to go back to our alma mater, Dickinson, for a game. I haven't been to one in a while.
Oh man, yeah, it's so much fun to go down there.
It's the best.
And like I said, you always run into somebody that and so many good dudes down there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to get down there. And I used to get down every year for at least one game, and then it became every other year. Then it's like every 3 years, and now it's just harder and harder. When coaching takes so much out of me on the weekends, I'm like, oh man, I just want to rest. I'm gonna get my film stuff done on Saturday morning. And then by noon, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to watch college football and not move from the couch for like 11 hours and just recharge your batteries. And then on Sunday, you start thinking about the next week and you watch an NFL. And when you go to Dickinson, it's never a quick trip down there.
Yeah.
And you usually come back and you're tired out, and a little bit hungover. So it takes a lot out of a guy. But yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. We got to do that sometime.
Okay, so speaking of Dickinson, I did this with Coach Stanton. I've done it with a lot of my guests. I've not done it on purpose, but I've skipped a few.
Okay.
But it's called 10 for 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and you got to answer them as quick as possible. There's like no right or wrong answers.
Okay.
But just try to get them right, okay? And away we go. Okay, hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
Palm trees or evergreen trees?
Evergreen.
Ocean or lake?
Pool.
Dog or cat?
Neither.
Burger King or McDonald's?
Burger King.
Soup or spaghetti?
Soup.
Wrestling or rodeo?
Oh man, wrestling, but my family's going to kill me because they're a big rodeo family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the old WWE wrestling stuff. Yeah.
Favorite athlete of all time?
Steve Atwater.
What is the city in Texas where the NFL team nicknamed the Cowboys play in?
Dallas.
What city in Texas, when spelled backwards, reads salad?
Dallas.
Who is an automatic top 5 player in Divide County history?
Zach Jones. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I love doing that.
Yeah. I knew something like that was coming. God dang it. Yeah.
But to finish up here, a question I ask everybody on swim lessons, not to turn it to too dramatic of a note, but a question I ask every guest is kind of the theme, the mantra, if you will, of swim lessons. But if you can leave us with something that helps you get through the day-to-day grind, kind of, gets you up in the morning, makes you want to go, what's something that you think about and you tell yourself that maybe somebody listening here today that's having a tough time or they can maybe relate to and apply to their daily lives?
Oh man, that's a tough one there. I knew this question was coming. Either this is something I should have wrote down and prepared for, because this is like the money question here. I don't know. You try to be positive. As a coach, as a teacher, things don't always go on script. Things don't always go as planned. And that's part of the game, is you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to adapt and overcome. And sometimes that's very difficult, but that's part of it. Sports is like a microcosm of life. You're going to have good days in life. You're going to have bad days. Everybody's going to have to deal with some adversity at some time or another, and you have to be able to overcome that. So I think trying to be positive, look at things as, the glass half full versus the glass half empty, I think is important. And, control the things you can control. I remember, talk about Mr. Brown and all the different stuff he has done offensively and his philosophy and schemes when we decided we were going to spread it out and throw the ball around this kind of around your area, we had some guys that could catch the ball, had some guys that can run. And Mr. Brown would say every time we were spread out, had 3 receivers or whatever and throwing the ball around, he'd get up and he'd check the weather, see what the wind is like. And he said he hated that. and he said, well, you can't control the wind. You can't worry about what you can't control. And he said, I know, but we're throwing the ball 30 times a game. We got to be able to, it can't be 35 mile an hour winds. I'm like, yeah. So just control the things you can control. Don't worry about the weather. Don't worry about things you can't control, and worry about yourself. And like I said, trust your gut. And if your gut tells you eat chicken wings, you eat chicken wings. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I really appreciate you doing this. It's been a long time in the making, and thanks for everything you've done in my life. It's really appreciated. And I honestly can say, there's a few times in my life that people listening that you helped me for the benefit. One of them was when my good friend Justin passed away, and the other was just kind of steering me to go into college. So that was big for me, and I really appreciate it. And I just want you to know that, because it's a big part for me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everything you've done, and proud of what you've done with the podcast. I really enjoy listening to you. You've done a great job. You do a great job with the tournament every spring, the DC Classic. That's like a big event. I mean, it's usually in the springtime, and there are kids that are your age. I guess they're adults now, but I still call you kids because I coach and stuff, and taught you guys. But there are people your age that will come back for the DC Classic, but they won't come back for Easter, which is the next week or the week before, because it's a big event. You know? And that's you've done a great job with that, and I'm proud of you and everything you've done, and all you got going on. And I enjoy talking with you and drinking a few beers with you once in a while, and telling stories and laughing about the good old times. It's fun.
Well, again, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, and good luck in the upcoming season. I'll be rooting for you. And any closing thoughts?
How much time do we got left?
As much as you want.
Because we've been talking about doing this podcast for a year or so, right? And now we're finally getting around to it. So I think one time last summer, I'm hauling grain and I'm loading the truck, and I'm thinking, oh man, when I do this podcast with Dallas for the swim lessons, I got to come back with him with some questions. So do you mind if I hit you with a couple questions? Yeah,
it's all good.
And I wrote these down like a year ago, and I kind of know what they are, but
that paper looks like it's perfect.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right. First question for you. Mm-hmm. You're headlining at WrestleMania.
Oh, wow.
In the Fargo Dome. You're taking on Brock Lesnar. Battle of the Dakotas. He's a South Dakota guy. You're a North Dakota guy. What's your walkout music when you're coming out for the WrestleMania?
Oh, that's easy. Sausalito Summer Nights.
Oh, man, I remember that song because you used to put that in all your Snapchats when you're walking around Scottsdale.
Now I can only play a little bit of this.
Gotcha.
Anybody listening at home, Sausalito Summer Night by Diesel. It's the ultimate. That was a good question, though.
Yeah, God dang, I thought you were going to say Country Boy Can Survive.
That's a good one, too.
God dang it. Lesnar's going to come out with something intense, and he's going to have the fireworks and stuff, so you got to be ready for that. So don't let him hype you.
I would come out just a dead sprint with number one up. Maybe wearing a Divide County Maroons helmet.
And a maroon or a USA flag, right? American flag. Get the
Kenny
car.
Power style.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, all right. All right, here's the next question for you. And I don't know I don't know what the heck I was thinking when I wrote this one, but you are a competitive eater. You're taking on Joey Chestnut in a competitive eating contest. What is the food that you choose to take on the legend?
Joey Chestnut, who can put it down.
Yeah, like 75 hot dogs.
It's so crazy you say that to me because my cousin Jory, who lives in Minneapolis, sent me a Snapchat, and he was going to go watch Joey Chestnut compete tonight at a chicken place, but it was chicken strips.
Oh man!
So I think I could give him a run for his money with chicken strips.
Nice. Are you going any sauce on that, or ranch, or barbecue, or what?
I might water it down because it's a race, right?
Yeah,
but a ranch would help.
I don't know if it's more of a race, but it's more how many pounds of chicken strips can you consume?
Ooh, I can put it down. Because I remember you've been to JD's Barbecue in Dickinson, right?
Absolutely.
I was on the wall.
Shout out JD's Barbecue.
Shout out JD's.
Not a sponsor.
I know.
JD's Barbecue, you could be and should be.
Come on, JD's.
Yeah.
I was on their wall because one day after practice in the fall, me and a couple of the linemen that I play with at Dickinson, Lane Millay, and I can't remember who else, but Josh Born was there, who was our punter.
Okay.
And we were really hungry. We all decided to do the burger challenge, which was like 4 patties, bunch of lettuce, bunch of tomatoes, cheese, all this shit. Yeah. And I finished it.
Oh, man.
No one else finished it, but I took one walk outside the door. They gave me a t-shirt and took my picture just over in the patties.
Oh,
the patties were still circle.
You got to chew your food up, man, a little bit.
But that's my big thing. My mom, who, I'm around her a lot, and my dad, they make me eat left-handed because I eat too fast.
Oh, really?
So that's why I think I give him a run for his money because I eat so fast.
Yeah.
And does time to digest.
Before your stomach knows you're full, you can put down a few more chicken strips.
Maybe that's a good idea on how we get this top 5 layered out for Divide County football players. We have Jovic would be one.
Oh yeah. Shoot, we got a lot of dudes that could put down some calories.
Brian Dawkins could too. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's a big dude. Yeah. That's. Now you're talking
chicken strips.
The wheels are turned chicken strips. Okay, good. That's awesome.
I can't remember which place it was at in Minneapolis, but it was a really good chicken strip place. God,
okay,
I can remember it.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
All right, last question for you. And if anybody's still listening to this podcast, I mean, we're like 2 hours in.
Oh no, they'll be listening.
No, nobody's
very
listening
faithful.
Now. If they're listening, they're crazy. So I can say whatever I want because I know nobody's lasted this long through these damn stories here. But all right, you can only choose one. In your lifetime, the Chiefs win one more Super Bowl, or one of your horses wins the Kentucky Derby.
Oh,
you can only choose one. What would it be? In this, it may be Dallas Pal or any other current horse that you guys have in your stable. Chiefs Super Bowl or a Kentucky Derby win. Which one do you want?
Can I be at the Super Bowl game?
I think so. We can get you a sideline pass. This is a fantasy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You and Bob Baffert, though, at the Kentucky Derby.
I gotta take the horse.
Yeah, you got.
I gotta take the horse. That is as much as I love the Chiefs. I know my parents would just. That's a dream
for Hanson Racing.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
That would be awesome. So that I knew that was
that's
a tough
question.
Yeah, I know.
That was top 5 toughest question I've ever answered in my life. Because it's like damned if you don't. I want the Chiefs to win. Sideline pass during a Super Bowl.
Right.
But Kentucky Derby is like it's in forever history.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
God.
I thought I'd put you on the spot there. Like I said, if the Chiefs win one Super Bowl every 50 years, I'm okay with that. So they won one. So hopefully I'll be dead by the time they win the next one.
Well, as you tell me, the window's closing.
Oh yeah. I got to get under your skin about the Chiefs. And every time something goes wrong or Mahomes gets sacked, I'm texting you up and letting you know just to get under your skin. Yeah.
Well, all right, Mr. Nelson, I appreciate you so much. Thanks again for coming on. Those questions were terrific. And that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thanks.
See you later.
I told you it's gonna be a party.